This is my Yamaha FZ750 Genesis, and this Yamaha was written off by the insurance company for being involved in a fire. And other than the melty bit of plastic on this side of the bike, the fire damage really isn't that bad. It didn't actually affect any of the rest of the bike. But because this bike is from 1988, parts are quite scarce because the bike is no longer in production, which means the insurance company completely just wrote it off rather than repairing it. Now, other than the melty side panel, there is still one big problem with this bike, and that is it doesn't run. And despite my many attempts to clean out the carbs, clean out the tank, and get this thing actually running, I've never been able to get it to run on more than 2 cylinders. But I think today is the day that we're finally gonna hear this thing run. So hopefully for one of the last times, seat off, tank off. With those loosened off, I should now be able to just pull the carbs. Give them a little wiggle. There we are, they pop off. Undo the fuel line. And they should move out your way. Now, before I do anything with the carbs, I am going to replace these inlet rubbers. Nothing wrong with most of them, but 1 or 2 of them are split. So, like this one, you can see, totally split. So, we're just going to replace those so that it stops sucking in any air down there at the inlet. So, most of them were all right, and I bought a brand new second-hand set off of eBay. So, I'm going to go ahead and fit those one by one. Just pushing them into place, and then we'll tighten them down. I might reuse some of the old ones, because actually some of the older ones look a bit better than the brand new second-hand ones. And obviously there was nothing wrong with some of them. It was just that ripped one, or any that have a hole or any sort of perish to them. Okay, actually, I was having a bit of trouble trying to push them on then, possibly because I didn't undo the Jubilee clips, but what I'm going to do, put them in this bucket, I'm going to put a bit of warm or boiling water on them, let them soften up a little bit, and then put them on so that they seat really good, and then we'll tighten them all down. In fact, I'll do the same with the rubbers from the airbox as well, because we've always had a problem with these because they're so solid, they've basically turned to plastic. Okay, so, pulled them out, boiled them up, dried them off, or still drying them off. And now, they seem to pop on there quite nicely. Just making sure I got them lined up with the little nooks. Okay, those are on there nice. So let's put the Jubilee clips back on them, skew the bottoms up, and then we'll have a look at the carbs. So push them all the way down to the bottom. And once they're on, screw them up nice and tight so that they're not coming back off and they're not pulling in air anywhere. With the bottom ones in place and seated as they should be, put the top ones on. They should just slide over. They have got a little like ridge on them, which you do need to line up with a little bump in the rubber. Probably a technical term for it that I don't know. And then once the carbs go on, we can tighten those up as well to make sure, again, not sucking air. They're on nice and secure then. So with them in place, we're going to pop the carbs back in place. Now you might be wondering why I'm putting them back in place. Well, I believe I have actually sorted them, and I'll explain why in a minute once they're back in place. Okay, we're going to fast forward a little bit because the airbox is back on. That took absolutely ages because I didn't realize that when you boil or heat the part, the rubber bits up, they contract. I thought they expand, but obviously I just made them soft. So I was trying to put them on and I realized you've got to stretch them out to get them on there and then leave them cool down so that they stay in place. But Airbox is on, that's pretty solid. They're all clipped into place now. Now, you may have noticed that the carbs, especially on the outside, look really clean compared to the last time we saw them. Or you might not remember because that was a fair few months ago. The reason they're so clean now is thanks to this, my new ultrasonic cleaner. So, in the many, or between the many months that I haven't really been working on this bike, I've stripped the carbs down to literally, you know, to the whole rail, taken all the jets out, everything. Ultrasonic cleaned them and obviously gone through all of the jets. Now, I didn't film any of that because that was a very late night here with a friend. Wasn't really doing much filming, we were just going through the carbs. And what actually turned out, no matter how many times I'd cleaned them and unblocked the main jets, I had missed 2 of the pilot jets and they were blocked solid. So it took a lot of gentle persuasion to unblock those last 2 pilot jets, but I can get, you know, a bit of wire through every single one of them. The inside and the outside of the carbs are pretty immaculate now, thanks to the ultrasonic cleaner. So in theory, when I put the tank back on and some fuel in it, it should run properly now. Well, on all 4 cylinders at least. I don't know about properly. They may still need balancing, I don't really know. But before we go seeing if it runs, I do need to try and tackle something else. And that is this sticky throttle. As you can see, it doesn't return at all. And I think it's probably rust or something under here because I've been through the cables, the return mechanism works on the carbs. The cables are a bit crap, but it shouldn't just stay where it is. I think the problem might well be under here. Originally, there would have been a little Torx bit bolt in there, but somebody has totally rounded it, so looks like, yep, there we are. Big old Allen key, we'll wind that off. That feels significantly more smooth, but still sticking. So under the screws, under here, I need a shorter screwdriver. As you can see, that now snaps back. So it could just be over tightened. Okay, let's just rub this back a bit. It's probably not the best way to do it, but I am just rubbing it back with a bit of Scotch-Brite. Or Brillo pad, whatever you want to call it. Should have taken the cables off. Okay, the bar end's gonna have to stay off for now because that is returning. But weirdly, as soon as I tighten up the screws in here, it like stops returning. And if you put the bar end on, it doesn't return at all. It just sticks open. So, gonna need a little bit more investigation. But for now, it's nice to have a throttle that actually opens and closes. Okay, not gonna call that fixed just yet. It's gonna need a little bit more investigation because every little thing I do seems to either make it work or then you adjust one other thing and it doesn't work. I mean, the cables are pretty bad, but I've ordered a set of cables and they came and they got the wrong threads for going into the controls, so that didn't really work out. I can't really find a matching set for that bike. It is difficult to get parts for. But I think for now, it's time to find out if it'll actually run, because I'm really excited to find this out. Now, it is time to see if it actually runs, because since I cleaned the carbs, I haven't actually fired the bike back up. I really want to see if it runs. We need to find out if what I've done finally has worked. Get the tank back into place. Actually, thread the carb overflows back down. Knock the battery charger off. Fuel sender plug is somewhere. Really should get better at doing this. Then fuel hose. This really is much easier when you've got 2 people. And then we need to turn the fuel back on and drop the tank into place. Yes, my fuel tap is broken. Or the switch is, at least anyway, it's snapped off. Set that nice and snugly over the airbox. Let's get a jump pack. Okay, so if this is a proper moment of truth time. If this runs, months and months of trial and error is done. So I'm gonna let the fuel pump through because the carbs are empty. Hopefully now nothing is leaking out the carbs, because that has always been a bit of a problem with this bike. Looking dry. My battery pack just decided no more. Okay, so fuel pump has stopped pumping. It sounds like it's full. Let's pull the choke a bit. She's idling obviously quite high because the choke is out, so we'll find out what happens in a minute. It is actually running. I cannot believe it. It is running on all 4 cylinders for the first time in probably 9 or 10 months since I've had this bike. And it is not leaking fuel anywhere, which every time I've cleaned them and put them back together or gone into the carbs in any way, shape or form, it has usually leaked fuel. Now, I don't think it's too much of a stretch to say that the carbs probably do need balancing, a bit of fine tuning, which I've never done before, so that's something I'm gonna have to learn to do. Having it running on all 4 cylinders is a huge step forward on this bike. I am absolutely chuffed. It actually sounds really nice, especially when you give it a bit of a rev. Sounds pretty damn good. Or at least I think so anyway. I could be biased because I'm just really, really happy to hear it actually running. So next up, an easy task that I've been putting off doing for forever and a day. The seat lock. I've had a new one here for ages because obviously I changed all the other locks, put a new lock set on it because the bike came without keys initially, if you can remember that far back. So simply pop that in there, like so. Ish. Push the cap on and then put the nuts back on. Then you're going to want a 10mm for these so I can put the bar back in. I mean, I took this thing off so long ago, I can't 100% remember exactly if this is the right way, but I guess we'll find out in about 2 minutes. Now, unless I've done this completely wrong, that should somehow click back into there. Maybe you need the keys. Okay, that seems to work now. If you push that down, it's locked into place. Turn the key, comes back out. It's all about getting it tucked in under the tank properly. Sweet. Done. Okay, so with that done, let's get the battery off. Let's throw that on charge so we can make sure this is working, because it used to work, but I may need to replace it because it might be completely dead now, but we'll see if it'll take a charge. Okay, so while the battery is on charge, the job I need to take care of is right here, this indicator, because while I replaced the broken one with a new one, it doesn't actually work. I'm sure it did at some point when I did it, or I just did it and didn't test it, but right now it's not working, or when the battery's on, it's not working. So I'm gonna have to redo the connections on there and see what's going on. Probably has everything to do with my terrible connections I made down here, so I'm going to cut those off. I'm going to change them because I've tested that there is continuity through it. I've opened this to make sure there is a bulb in it, so it only makes sense that either these connections are bad or for some reason these connections aren't getting power. So first up, snip, snip. And then Strip and strip. 2 in 1. Okay, that looks way better than what I had on there before. Hopefully they're on the right way around. I'm not really sure about where this cable sits because they just seem to hang down at the front. So maybe there's something they tuck into up there. I don't know, we'll investigate that later. Next step is something that probably hasn't been on the bike since the day I got it to the unit. And that is these side panels. That one is totally missing the tab. I think that slots under there, if I remember correctly. Don't want to push it too hard. And then same again for the other side. Probably with all the same difficulty. All right, a little less difficulty on this one. Now, this one, the tab is not broken, so it will line up better. Screw it in for good measure. Now it's starting to look more like a complete bike again, except for the big missing panel this side. Now, obviously, those side panels have been off for a very long time. If you remember back, or if you were with the channel way back when I first got the bike, it's because when Ash gave me this bike, we didn't have any keys. So to get to the battery, we had to kind of burgle our way in through the side panels to get the seat off, etc, etc. So them being on is the first time they've been on in 9 or 10 months. And obviously, yes, they've collected a lot of dust in that time. Same as the rest of the bike, really. Next, I think the tank can go back into place. So there's one of these big old bolts either side. And of course, the fix in there. Okay, so bike mostly reassembled now. I've put the battery back in. I'm not really sure if the battery is charging. I've had it on a repair charge. It's probably dead at this point, but I've put the jump pack on. Let's see if my indicator actually works now. Probably not the most exciting bit of viewing, but hang on, it's on the other side. That works. So we got rear, or front and rear on both sides. Sweet. So I'll do a quick light check. On. Light. Pass light does something. Test the horn. And one last time, choke up. She still starts. So I'm just gonna check if the battery is charging as well with the multimeter. So with the bike running, you just test the positive and the negative. 15.89, that seems a bit high. I mean, 15.89 seems a bit high. I mean, the revs were up, so maybe it's kicking out more power. I don't really know, but I know there's not enough in it that when it gets to idle, it kind of cuts out, but also because the engine is cold. So I'm gonna have to do a little bit more fiddling with that and see exactly what's going on there, but the battery probably has had it after all this time. When she's running, yep, I mean, it seems to run fine while there is power in it, or if you keep the revs up, but as soon as those revs drop, it is cutting out. So either there could be a problem with the charging system, or that battery is just completely dead. So, new battery. At least I hope it's just a new battery. But now, the majority of the fixes are done. Because I even seem to have figured out my throttle problem. That is returning most of the time. Well, pretty much all of the time. So there's still a few little cosmetic issues to work out. I mean, the bike obviously needs a very good clean. And obviously the elephant in the room, the big missing panel. So if you've already seen this, you know the plan. I gotta get this panel painted to look like this one, but obviously without the big melty hole. And of course the bike needs a damn good wash, because that is filthy and it's still got the writing on the tank that they put on it at Copart. And I either need to get rid of that bar end or I need to get a new set or matching set, because the old one just, it makes the throttle stick. So now in theory, it is a running and riding bike. If the battery would actually stay charged and keep the bike running, I could take it for a little spin and actually have a little ride on it. But till I get a new battery, that ain't gonna happen. So for now, I think I'm gonna have to cut this video a bit shorter than I actually wanted to, because obviously I need to wait for a battery and I need to get in touch with a paint shop, someone who can make that panel look like that one. And someone, or hopefully the same place, can make the graphics, because obviously those graphics are different to these ones. Well, they wouldn't be able to salvage these anyway. And of course, I need to take the bike for an MOT, because when I had it in 9 or 10 months ago, it had MOT, and now it has run out because I've had a year so goddamn long. So I will save all that for another video, and maybe I'll even see if I can time it with Ash Rowland, who gave me the bike, to come down and actually take it for its first ride. But that'll all probably still be a few weeks down the line, because, well, I've got a Harley I need to fix. So working on the Yam this week has been a nice welcome distraction from the Harley, and quite frankly, I am over the moon that this bike is now actually running. Bit of a shame I didn't get to see, well, if it's riding, because as far as I know, it goes into gear, but I've never actually moved it, you know, under its own power. But either way, running on all 4 cylinders and all the electrics actually working, all the key locks having the same key again, that is a massive, massive step forward for this bike. So we'll see the bike again in a few weeks when hopefully it is finally done. But that is all for this bike for the time being. So if you've enjoyed this video, then make sure you hit the thumbs up button. If you're happy that I finally got the Yamaha running on all 4 cylinders for the first time since I've owned it, then make sure you let me know in the comments. Or if you're just excited to see me getting back to working on the UK's cheapest Harley Davidson, then also let me know in the comments. But until the next video, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.